I've been watching her for 15 years, but I only installed cameras in her house 5 years ago. Before that, I would just go on social media every morning, see her online, and say, "Good morning, my love." And today she took a heart from a large bag on the table, bit off a piece of it and went to the easel, where an unfinished painting was waiting for her. She bit off the heart again, like an apple, her lips turning red. Then she put it on a plate on the table, where the palette and tubes of paint lay. "Good morning, my love," I said. We met when she was 20, and I was 25. Then we went to the forest in a big group, wine, shashlik, swimming in the lake, under the moon, guitar. She never parted with the album. Even then, she just kept drawing and drawing. I still have that sketch where I play the guitar by the fire. And the next day, a friend told me, "Max, there's no other way. She's into girls." I watched her and realized, really, no options, really, for girls. But then I had already fallen in love, and watching her over time became a habit. The first corpse with a torn-out heart was found 6 months after we met. I had been working as an investigator for 3 years by then, and I was the one who went out to find this corpse. A well-known teacher of painting and drawing in the city. He was lying on his back in the snow, naked to the waist. Horror was frozen in his blue eyes. His gray hair was frozen into icicles, his broken ribs stuck up like sharp red fragments. They never found his heart. Then it came to light that he had been harassing female students. She was no exception. Not long before his death, we met in a group. I heard her whispering to a friend in the kitchen that he had threatened not to certify her in his subject, despite all the A's. And when he found out that she was a lesbian, he even said that she would only pass the exam through bed. But he did not live to see the exam. During the interrogation in my office, she sat wrapped in a stole and looked down at the scratched tabletop. "Yes, when did you see the murdered man last time?" "At the consultation before the exam." "Did you talk?" "Yes." "About what?" Yasia wrapped her pale pink stole tighter and sighed. Then she brushed her red hair falling over her face and continued. "He asked me to stay. When everyone left the office," he said, she took a deep breath and clenched her fists. He said, "Cherkasova, don't even hope to pass the exam if..." She took a shaky breath. "What did he say?" "Grandpa, you know, Grandpa. That's my nickname, by the way." "I know, but I have to record what he said." "He said that if you don't go with me to the hotel, you'll be kicked out of the university in one fell swoop." "And you?" "I said that I would complain." And he said, "Complain. The vice rector is my friend." And then he grabbed my hand. I broke free and ran away. I went home, drank half a bottle of valerian, but couldn't fall asleep. And then he didn't show up for the next consultation. And then they found him. Do you have any idea who could have done this? Grandpa, are you kidding me? Although, maybe it was a werewolf. Should I write this down too? No, of course. I was joking. She smiled sadly. Yes. Do you need a lift? Yes. Let's go. She pulled on her jacket I closed the office and we went outside. The car flashed its headlights in response to pressing the key fob. I opened the door and Yasia sat in the front seat. Yes, buckle up. Grandpa, you drive normally? That's true, but no one has cancelled the traffic rules. Buckle up. I have a very motivating crack here, just right for people like you. I did have a crack in my windshield that looked like lightning. Some idiot threw a bottle at it. I couldn't get around to replacing it. And the crack was opposite the passenger seat, so it didn't bother me. Lightning. Yasia ran her finger along the crack. This summer, I got caught in a thunderstorm in the steppe at my grandmother's in the village. It was a long way home. At first I was scared, and then I started singing Walking on the Water. And the thunderstorm gradually died down. Grandfather, what? Can you pose for me after the session? Are there no more pretty girls? She giggled. No, it's just that you're thin. Your bones are clearly visible. I need to work out. So, do you want to pose without clothes? Well, you can keep your panties. We arrived. I got out with her and walked her to the door. Are you afraid that a werewolf who rips out hearts will come for me too? She asked. I wasn't afraid of the werewolf, but the world is full of scary things, even without werewolves. As an investigator, I should know. When I got home, I sat in the car for a long time, my head on the steering wheel. 2 years later, Yasia was dumped by her lover. As it turned out, she had been cheating on her for a long time. Yasia then walked around for 3 months, as if she had fallen into a daze. She abandoned her thesis and almost never showed up at the university. My friends and I tried to somehow shake her up, but she withdrew into herself and did not respond. And then her ex disappeared. Her body was never found, when she was already missing, but not yet on the wanted list. I met Yasia on the street. In her hand, she was carrying a black bag without a picture. Yes, hi. She seemed to emerge from her thoughts with difficulty. Ah, Grandpa. Is that you? Me. Of course. Who else? Should I walk you? Yes, I know where I live. So, only if you really want to. I want to. Come on, I'll carry it. There was something soft and heavy in the bag. The sun was shining and it was dripping from the roofs. We walked in silence. At the entrance, Yasia said, Grandpa, do you want some tea? Want. We went into her house and went into the kitchen. While the tea was heating up, Yasia put a black bag on the table and started to unpack it. She took out the lungs, heart, and liver and put them into cellophane bags. The heart is so small. Yes. Is it pig's? What? Oh yeah. She touched the lung. It springs. Grandpa, did you know that when you boil the lungs, they exhale? The air comes out of them and you get this last breath. I don't know. I never really thought about it. It's clear. How are you in general? Have you recovered at least a little? After Anyuta, perhaps? Yeah, it seems to have gotten better. She's not the only thing in the world. After all, I should come to your work sometime. You have some beautiful girls in uniform there. Soon, she really did come to my work, to testify in the case. Naturally, she had no time for the girls. Over the next 5 years, 4 more people disappeared. I mean, a lot more people disappeared. But these 4 knew Yasia. Yaroslava Cherkasova celebrated her 30th birthday already as a famous artist. She did not go to any of the capitals. She loved her hometown too much. She also visited abroad. And a couple of her lovers disappeared without a trace. I still worked as an investigator. In the evenings, I returned to an empty apartment and listened to audiobooks. I was often asked why I didn't get married, and I joked. I couldn't explain to everyone that the only one with whom I saw the point in this event would never marry me. I had ordered the cameras and microphones a long time ago, but the opportunity to install them in Yasia's apartment did not present itself right away. She had just left to paint something in a neighboring city, and I myself suggested leaving the key to me to water the flowers. Then I sat at the monitor and waited for her to return. The door opened. She put a black bag on the floor, took off her shoes and scarf, and hung up her jacket. When she picked up the bag, there was a red stain on the floor. That was the first time I saw her eat. She took the lungs, heart and liver out of the bag, then picked up a whetstone from the window and ran a knife over it several times. Then she cut the liver into strips and mixed them in a large bowl, from which my friends and I ate popcorn when we watched movies at her house. She pressed the bowl to her chest with her hand and went into the bedroom. There she opened her laptop and turned on something on it, and while she was watching, she thoughtfully put bloody strips into her mouth. As it turned out later, she brought organs home at least once a week. She didn't always cut them up. Sometimes she would just take them with both hands and bite into the bloody pulp. I never saw her boil them or keep them in the refrigerator. Usually, her liver didn't last long. And how did she fit it all in? She was so thin. When she met Nigora, I had been watching her through cameras for 4 years. What a name! Nigora, translated from Tajik, picture, portrait, drawing. Literally translated, beautiful, like in a picture. Nigora was not beautiful. Shaved head, boyish figure, sharp movements. But Yasia liked it. Tajik survived corrective rape, although it would be better if she survived a selective abortion. More precisely, she did not survive. I always treated all of Yasia's lovers equally, but I simply hated Nigora. She taught women's self-defense classes, women's only groups, shaved her head, wore a bald cap, and loved to take pictures of it next to a glass of almond latte for her VK page. She was also a vegan. I thought that with such views, she and Yasia would not get along, but they not only got along, but quickly moved in together. Yasia spent all day drawing her and posting portraits in her group. They quickly accumulated enough for an entire exhibition. Nigora gave her a black reusable mask, and they cut through crowded places in them like a pair of ninjas. And all this time, I watched on camera how Yasia ate in secret from her beloved. When Nigora went to practice, Yasia took a bag out of the freezer and bit into a frozen lung or heart. Her facial expression remained, as always, peaceful. Then she went to the bathroom to to wash her bloody face, then lay down to lie down. And when Nigora returned, they fucked furiously. I tried to ask for training with Nigora out of curiosity, but she immediately said, "No, grandfather, we have a male free space." She, to put it mildly, did not like me at all. She just drilled me with her black, burning eyes. Apparently, she guessed something, but she tried to invite Yasia to training, but she refused. She's an artist. Any injury to the hand, especially the left, leading one, can harm a career. But she often drew people training. Nothing disturbed their ideal, but when you live with someone, it is extremely difficult to hide your specific habits. I waited and waited. When Nigora fell asleep, Yasia went straight to the refrigerator and bit into a lung, sitting right on the floor. Her long hair fell forward and blocked her view. She did not see how sleepy Nigora walked past her to the toilet. She didn't immediately understand what was happening. She stopped, looking at her beloved in bewilderment. Her already large eyes widened. How she screamed. No, not from fear. It was hard to scare her. Damn, I regretted 100 times then that I didn't put microphones along with the cameras. But judging by her facial expressions, she was indignant. It's understandable. It's not every day you see your beloved eating raw meat. And if you're also a vegan, in short, Nigora slammed the door, and Yasia cried for a long time. Grandpa, you understand. I love her. I love her. She sobbed into the phone. And you need to accept your loved one as he is. Right, Grandpa? Well, I love you, and I accept you, but what's the point? Grandpa, if only I were a boy. Although you don't know everything either. And if you did, you wouldn't say that either. And 2 weeks later, Nigora disappeared. She didn't show up for training, didn't answer calls, and wasn't online. One of her friends filed a report almost immediately. Someone called Lisa Alert's hotline, but the trainer seemed to have vanished. On the cameras I saw Yasia walking around the apartment from corner to corner. She picked up the album, put it down, and walked again. Then she opened the refrigerator, took out a heart, looked at it, put it back, and cried. I did not participate in the search. Another investigator was handling the case, and I saw no point in volunteering for Lisa Alert. If they hadn't found the others, then they wouldn't find her either. On Friday evening, I left for the village. I smiled when the headlights snatched the sign with its funny name from the darkness. The lantern above the gate of my grandmother's house was not lit. Progress had reached the village, and there were lanterns with motion sensors all along the street. But I had broken mine a long time ago. It irritated me and attracted too much attention to my arrival. I opened the gate and drove the car into the yard. The porch creaked under my foot. The lock didn't give in right away, and I leaned my shoulder on the door to open it. In the darkness, as always, I didn't immediately find the switch. The light bulb dimly illuminated the entryway. I pulled the leatherette-covered door towards me and entered the room. Bam! I stayed on my feet, but staggered, and then I was hit on the head a second time. Nigora, how did she get out? Where is she? She? meanwhile, came up behind me and threw a chain around my neck. I struggled, trying to pull the chain away, but Nigora's strong hands tightened it tighter and tighter. My vision went dark and I fell. The last thing I felt was a hypodermic dart being stuck into my neck. I had been using them to knock out everyone who had visited here, and Nigora had apparently found where I kept them. I came to when I heard the noise of an engine, a car. Apparently, while I was lying there, Nigora had managed to take out the keys. Staggering, I left the house and saw the headlights moving away in the darkness. I threw up. I think I had a concussion. I sat down on the porch and stared into the darkness, breathing heavily. Nigora was the first to get out of Grandma's house alive. Neither the painting teacher, nor Yasia's ex, nor the head of the company who had cheated her out of money managed to do so. The teacher cried and begged more than anyone else, threatened me with all the heavenly punishments, and offered me all the earthly blessings. But I got his heart out of him alive. It was already pulsating in my hand, and no one heard his screams. I stuffed his mouth with rags and wrapped it with tape. And anyway, it was a long way to the nearest residential building. I threw his body out and let them find him, and buried the rest at night in Grandma's garden. I called an ambulance, said that I had fallen and hit my head. If I said that I had been attacked, my colleagues would come, and I didn't need them here. While the ambulance was on its way, I closed the crawl space and pushed the trunk into the hole. They didn't need to know what I was using it for. They took me away in an ambulance. I later lay in the hospital with a concussion. My car was found abandoned on the highway 40 kilometers from the village. There was no trace of Nigori. Fear has settled in me without warning. Nigora knows too much about me. She knows where to go and what to show my colleagues. And she knows where my supply of injection darts is kept. In short, I took everything out of the basement and burned the house down. I simulated spontaneous combustion. No one called the fire department, and it burned to the ground. Nigora was never found. Yasia gradually recovered from the loss of her beloved, began to enjoy life again, draw women of varying degrees of attractiveness, and eat raw offal while watching TV series. Once I took Yasia to the open air. She was painting, and I was admiring her. Then it started raining, and we went home. The rain was making noise on the roof and hood. Tide streams were twisting on the windshield, dispersed by the wipers. Yasia was silent, absorbed in herself. I turned on the radio, and she shuddered from the sharp sound. "Grandpa, turn it off, please." "Fine." "I wonder where Nigora is now," she asked without any preamble. "Do you miss her?" "Yes, but damn." "Grandpa, I'm 35 years old, and I still haven't met a man who would accept me as I am." "And me? You are a man." "Well, it doesn't stop most women." "Well, I'm not the majority, you know." "Well, yes, a minority. Sexual, very sexual." "You're a fool, Grandpa, and your jokes are stupid. But seriously, if you knew something about me, you wouldn't love me so much either." "What is this, for example?" "Come to my place, I'll show you." Intrigued for the rest of the journey, Yasia remained tensely silent. We arrived and went up to her. "Let's go to the kitchen. Just sit down." I sat down in the chair in the kitchen. Yasia took the inevitable black bag out of the refrigerator and placed it on the table. I pretended not to understand. And Yasia took the heart out of the bag and took a bite. "Yes. Is this human? Grandpa, are you sure you're an investigator? This is pork. Here, take a look." I looked. Indeed, it was pork. "So you don't kill people?" "No. Should I?" "Well, you never know." "Yes, I've known for a long time now." "Where?" "I spied it once, by accident. You're always sharpening on the sly, when others don't see." "Holy shit, by chance. Are you a ninja or something?" "No, just an investigator." "Yes. Why are you eating raw? Is this some kind of disease?" "No, Max. I am just a ghoul." "Ghoul? What?" "Such evil spirits. In general, we are scavengers. But I don't like rotten things. I like raw things. It's clear." Yasia took another bite out of the heart, came over and sat on my lap. I froze, my breath caught. She ran her hand through my hair and kissed me. Her tongue entered my mouth along with a piece of raw heart. I felt the salty taste of blood and mustiness. Yasia's hands slid over my chest. Arousal rose in a wave inside me. Yasia ran the slippery heart over my face and neck. Then her tongue pushed the piece of heart down my throat. I tore myself away from her lips, leaned over the armrest of the chair, and threw up. Yasia laughed, and again reached out to me with her lips. "Yes, maybe I should at least brush my teeth and clean up here." "Grandpa, I'm a scavenger. Do you seriously think that I can be embarrassed by this?" A week later, I moved my things to her place. I didn't vomit anymore, although it wasn't easy to get used to the fact that people were constantly eating raw meat next to me. Our mutual friends laughed, like, "Grandpa, why didn't you do this before?" And behind her back, they said that they knew that all her pranks were until the first normal man. The artistic crowd was buzzing like a beehive. Well, of course, the crazy lesbian Cherkasova finally came to her senses, and Yasia just smiled. We walked in the evenings, woke up together in the mornings. She lay on my chest when we watched movies and ate chopped raw liver from a popcorn bowl. At the end of summer, we went to the cemetery, to the grave where my parents and grandparents were buried. In the morning, we stopped at a construction supermarket. Yasia helped us choose a good paint for the fence. For some reason, they didn't let us through the gates by car, although it wasn't Parents' Day, so we had to walk. While we were painting the fence, I asked her, "Yes, where are your parents?" "Mom lives in the village. Dad died before I was born." "Do you see her?" "No." "Why?" "Ghouls are traditionalists, and I don't like traditions, you know that. Maybe we should go see her sometime." "Oh, Grandpa, I wouldn't advise it. There's a whole village of ghouls there. We're scavengers, of course, but we'll all become carrion someday, and that process can be sped up." Yasia laughed. "A whole ancient thing?" "Well, yes. Ghouls always live in communities, and I don't like that." On the way back, Yasia suddenly looked around as if searching for something. Her nostrils flared. Max, do you feel it? Do you feel it? What? What should I feel? The smell. Here. She stopped near a fresh grave. It's rotten. And you feel it? Yes, through the ground, through the boards. Blimey. Yasia swallowed her saliva. I never liked rot, but now I wanted it so much I would have dug it up with my hands as we do. Maybe we can come back here tonight. Yes, this is not good. This is my nature, you understand? I understand, but maybe I'd better find you an unclaimed corpse? There are plenty of them, and you don't need to dig anything up. Yasia sighed. I will think. When we were drinking tea in the evening, Yasia said, what came over me? I never liked rotten things. I don't know, I answered. The next day, Yasia called me at work and asked, Grandpa, when you go home, please stop by the pharmacy. For what? Buy me a test. What test? I didn't understand. In math? Damn. For pregnancy, of course. Yasia, you will find out. I bought a jet test. Yasia and I stood and watched as a second strip appeared in the test window. It looks like I'll have to go see my mother after all, she said. On the weekend we got ready for the road and set off. As it turned out, the Ghoul village was not far from the one where my grandmother lived, and it also had a funny name. When we passed the sign, Yasia dialed the number on the phone and said, Mom, we're almost there. A tall red-haired woman met us at the threshold of the brick house. She looked at me appraisingly and smiled. My dear, I knew that you would someday bring the father of your child home. Everyone said that your Yaska was a complete loser, but I knew it. Come in. I just killed a pig today. By the way, I'm Aunt Polya. Nice to meet you, Maxim. The house smelled deliciously of pork chops. Aunt Polya put a frying pan and a bowl of raw tripe on the table. I was hungry and pounced on the chops. Yasia took the lungs and her mother the liver. Maybe we should have a drink? Aunt Polya suggested. Well, Mom, I can't, and I'm not a fan. Well, just a little bit, right, Maxim? I also have some cherry moonshine. Bring it. I smiled. Aunt Polya brought 3 glasses on a tray and handed one to me. Well, for the baby. We raised our glasses and clinked them. The moonshine tasted good, and the alcohol content was not noticeable at all. I quickly got carried away, and my eyes closed on their own. It looks like it's time for Grandpa to go to bed, said Yasia. Let's go, Grandpa. I leaned on her shoulder, but staggered and almost fell. Damn, it's heavy, said Yasia. Mom, help me. They took me into a room and laid me on a bed with an iron back and a wire mesh, and I fell asleep. I woke up already in the evening. Half asleep. I wanted to stretch, but I realized that I couldn't move. I wanted to say something, but my mouth was stuffed with something, and something was pulling my face. Someone entered the room. Well, does that mean we're going to have a baby? I heard a familiar voice. I didn't immediately understand who it was. And when I did, I went cold. Nigora. I could have done artificial insemination. There would have been less fuss. Well, He's in good health, and he's not bad looking. Yes, and what about his psyche? You should have seen what he has in his basement. A mini torture chamber, damn it. And in the garden, a mini cemetery. He told me everything while I was sitting there. He thought that I, like the others, would never get out of there. And I listened and thought, damn, how stupid all this is. I love you so much. Well, at least in this regard, we are similar. I love you too, Mountain, Yasia whispered. Judging by the sound, they kissed. Let it be a girl, said Nigora. She will be an artist, like her mother, or an investigator, like Dad, laughed Yasia. Look, he opened his eyes. That's true. Apparently, the injection has started to wear off. Well, it's okay. He's securely fastened. The door opened, and Aunt Polya came in. Gorochka, please come out. This is an intimate moment. Yasia should stay with the father of her child. Just don't let him take the rag out of his mouth. He'll start screaming. Gorochka, you forgot. This is the order of things here. Let all the neighbors know that my daughter also honors traditions, to the best of her ability, of course. The door closed. Yasia turned on the light and came to the bed. She leaned over me and unwound the tape around my head, then took the rag out of my mouth. You know, Grandpa, I didn't really plan to introduce you to Mom, but when Gora returned, I realized that I had to anyway. She came back a long time ago. No, recently. This week, literally. And she told me everything. I'm in shock, Grandpa. I thought you were good, but I love you. I know, Grandpa. It would be better if you weren't here, honestly. But you won't be here soon anyway. That is, you won't get out of here, Grandpa. I exhaled. I already understood that I really wouldn't go out. I never liked our ghoul traditions. As a child, when I heard our men shouting, are they shouting? You'll scream when you're being eaten alive. But that's the tradition. A father must feed his child's mother, and a human woman can't get pregnant from a ghoul. So, our men are either childless or... You know, I was always very scared of our traditions. I thought that I would never have it like that, but never say never. They will look for me. They will, but they won't find you. When you rot, I'll milk you. We'll burn your bones, grind them into bone meal, and scatter them in our garden, like Mom did to dead ones. And it's not the first time people have disappeared here. People? Well, legally, we are all people here. So, we have a lot of experience, you understand. Yasia sat on my stomach and put her hands on my chest. Just like that time, our first time. And just like that time, a wave of excitement began to rise from within. I looked at her. She smiled. Her teeth grew bigger and sharpened, and the claws on her hands began to grow straight into my chest. I love you, I whispered. And Yasia leaned towards me and sank her teeth into me.